Hello everyone, welcome to the QuesterMage and welcome back to another No Man's Sky video for the Nintendo Switch. In today's video I want to talk about the brand new 4.4.61 update, which includes an improved graphical version of this game for Nintendo Switch. So please sit back, relax, click like, subscribe, and hopefully enjoy. Here we go. So like I mentioned, there's been a brand new update for the Nintendo Switch version of No Man's Sky, which brings an upgrade to FSR being used for the Nintendo Switch for this game. Hello Games is also using the Nintendo Switch's news channel to distribute this news to the fans. As you can see here on screen, here is a picture of Hello Games actually using the news channel, and this is something I've mentioned before. I'm very happy to see that Hello Games is actually using this function on the Switch to let their fans know what is going on with the game. So in this news channel publication, there are quite a few things that are mentioning what has been included in this update, and also explaining that it's available on all platforms. So what did the update include? A recap of expeditions. I can't wait to play the Cartographer's expedition, so I can finally get that golden vector. And also mentioning that the Nintendo Switch, as you can see on screen, is getting an exclusive update to FSR2, and that's what we're going to take a look at today. I'm going to compare version 4.4 to the new version 4.461 in video form. So here the first thing that we're seeing is in version 4.4 when I was on a planet, just mining some of these radiant shards and some Atlantidium. I actually think they've done a very good job before in sharpening up the image and making it look really good. If we jump here to version 4.461, I think you can see that the image does look, in fact, crisper than it did before, or using their terminology, sharper. I have to say that before doing these side by side, the game did look better, but I was surprised on how much better the game actually looked until I saw this. Now on the right hand side, I think there is definitely more detail being shown on the player character. Especially if you look at the pauldrons there, it does seem to be more defined than it was in version 4.4. Moving on, the next sequence I want to go through is this cave sequence. One of the things I mentioned in my last video doing a graphical comparison is how the lighting seemed to be in front of the player and not behind the player. Again, overall, I think it looked pretty good. Moving on to the new version, just look at the lighting difference. I think you can easily see that just with the cape itself as I'm moving around this environment. The lighting looks much better. Not only does the lighting look better, but as we can see here in the side by side, the new update definitely makes the resolution look superior to what it did before. It looks much better. So I wanted to also do a still of the cape before and after, so that you can see more or less what I'm talking about. I really do think we can see much more detail here on the right hand side, which is a new version, in comparison to the left hand side. Looking at the cape itself, the actual squid-like design of the cape seems to really pop in the new update. The impression that this fabric is actually embossed and in 3D I think is more prominent now than it was before. So next is one of my favourite video segments from the last update. We can see one of my characters and the ship in the background. It looks really good, and there's a lot actually happening on screen. But if we look at the new update, this is where, again, I'm saying when you see it side by side, or when you see it one after the other, you really do notice a very big difference. We're seeing more or less the same amount of objects on screen and the same amount of lighting being used. But I think the definition of the overall image is definitely improved here. If you look at the ship in the 4.4 update, it looks good, but slightly blurry, especially in comparison to the new update. The spaceship looks super crisp here in this image. We can also see there's some slight blurring on the floor. If you look on the left side, it looks slightly blurrier. Again, good, but just not as good as the new update. When it comes to gameplay, I haven't really seen that much of a difference though, I have to say. But you can see here in the background, this is the last version of the game, and some of the things Hello Games mentioned in their publication on the news channel, you will really see here. We can see this sort of halo effect or shadowing effect around characters and some objects. So if you really pay attention to the head of the character here, we can see that as it moves, there's a little phasing going on with the graphics. But overall, again, I think it looks pretty good. With the new update here, it does look better overall in terms of the quality of the image, but in terms of that shadowing effect, I don't know if it's actually been improved. Again, this is all my personal opinion. I feel like I'm seeing more phasing of the graphics in this update than I did before. I have noticed this in other games like Remnant on Switch, where there's a heavy use of, I think, FSR, If not, at least the artifacting is very similar. Here in the side-by-side, I think you'll see what I mean. The overall quality of the image is improved in the new update. But when we look at that phasing or shadow effects, I don't know if that's been as improved as they said, but again, this is only my personal opinion. To you, this might seem indeed improved. I think the image quality is, but that shadowing effect / phasing effect is definitely not gone. It is still there. To me though, seems like a fair trade, because the quality of the image is definitely far superior. Now moving on to the Nexus. In the last comparison that I done, I think it was with version 4.38 versus 4.4, we saw a massive leap in graphical quality. And as you can see here on screen, obviously version 4.4, we are seeing what it was before, and I think the Nexus actually looks pretty good. You can see here as the character is running through the hangar, we can see a lot of things in the background, but we will notice that some of the depth of field seems a bit blurry. But an overall image quality increase when it's compared to the previous version. I do think it looks pretty good, but as we'll see shortly, I think the new update does a very good job of making the overall image look much clearer than it does here. So here's a look at the Quicksilver Merchant. If you just focus on the yellow lighting behind the merchant itself, you will see a definite change when I put on the new update in the background. But overall, I do think this looks pretty good considering that the Nintendo Switch is a handheld machine. Here we can see the Nexus terminal itself, and again, I think it looks pretty good. But if we look here on the right hand side, we can see 3 Quicksilver icons. These icons are exhibiting some of the FSR artifacting that I was mentioning earlier. You can see it phasing up and down. I don't think it's supposed to be like that. But however FSR works its magic, we can see some of the byproducts of using FSR2 in this game on Switch, but it does look really good. A shame we have this phasing in and out. So what does the new version look like? Well, here it is on screen. I think you will agree this does look much better than the version 4.4. I'll be moving in pretty much the same trajectory as I did in the last update. We can see here, again looking at the background, the depth of field seems far superior than what it did before. Far less blurring of the image and more definition of what we can actually see on screen. Again, the artifacting is present. If you pay attention to that cloak, you can see it sort of phasing to the left and to the right. But overall, I do think you can see the sharp quality of the actual image itself. Here with the Quicksilver Merchant, we can see a lot of that blurriness has now been fixed behind the actual Quicksilver Merchant itself. Also, if we look at the periphery of the image, we can see a bigger bump in graphical quality. We can see much more detail due to the fact that the blurriness of the image in the last update is now gone, and it seems like the overall resolution is higher than what it was. The same can be said here with the Nexus terminal. We can see the actual terminal itself. If we look at these blue glow effects, the image is much clearer than what it was in version 4.4. If we look above it to the room at the top, we can actually see what's inside, at least a little bit, and before we could not. It was just a blur. The 3 Quicksilver icons are still showing artifacting from FSR2. They say it's improved. Again, I'm not sure if it is. To me, it seems like a heavier shadowing than it did before. But overall, I think it's a fair trade for a better quality image overall. And now here I'm going to jump straight to the side-by-side so you can see exactly what I've been talking about, and hopefully you can actually see that on screen, and hopefully this is helpful to you. I think what we're seeing is a very good example of a developer that is taking time and wanting to improve the overall image quality as much as they can for its user base. I really like the fact that Hello Games is taking this time and care to make this game look much better than it did before. Once again, I am a person that believes that in version 4.4, the game already looked really good, but seeing this side by side with the new update really makes me think what a good job they are doing with a tablet. And I think this game looks so good now. We're seeing here my favorite capture that I had of the game last time in the hangar. You can really see how much detail now comes across and how that blurring has really been decreased from before. I'm not going to compare anything else today. Hopefully overall I've conveyed how I feel about this update in terms of the graphical quality and the graphical improvements. I think it's actually really good. In the background I'm going to show you a capture that I done of my solar ship on the planet I was on, and I think this is an absolutely amazing image. The quality, the sharpness, and just the overall look of the game I think now really looks good. If you are looking at this, I would have thought that there's no way we're looking at Nintendo Switch footage, but we are. This is exactly what I captured from my Nintendo Switch, and I'm very impressed. I really liked it. I hope you all like it too. A shame about the artifacting that we do get with FSR2. Hopefully there will be a way to fix that in the future. They do mention again that they have improved it. As I said before, I don't know if they really have, but again, that could just be me. But hopefully in the future, more and more improvements will be found. And Hello Games is definitely that developer that tries to give as much as they can to their audience. One of the big reasons that I bought No Man's Sky for Nintendo Switch, and I said this at the time of buying it, is that I believe that Hello Games will continuously update this game. I thought they'd update Gyro, they did. I thought they'd make the game look better, they did. I was just afraid that we might not get all the content, but so far, we have got a lot of the content that Hello Games has pushed across all the other platforms. And like I've been saying on my channel, I really like playing No Man's Sky on Nintendo Switch. It is my preferred way to play the game now. I know I can play the game in better fidelity, plus 60 frames a second on my computer, but I don't want to do that. I prefer to have the portability. I like the way the game looks. I like having gyro controls. And hopefully I've condensed this update at least graphically in a way that can help all of you to see that if there's something you like or you don't. And that's going to do it for today's video. Thank you very much again for watching. I hope you like what I do here. If you do, please click that like button down below. Helps out the channel a lot. And if you want to see more, please click that subscribe button, as that is the only way this channel can grow. Now, I hope you liked this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. And until then, thanks again.